It's looking pretty rough for Harley Davidson. We got their fourth quarter sales, or their revenue. We also have their for full 2024 financial results, sales numbers, and we have outlook for 2025. Is Harley Davidson in trouble? But once we're done going through the not so optimistic numbers here, we're going to head on over to New Atlas, where their comment section was very busy talking about these recent financial and sales updates. So we'll try to tackle these at the end, have some fun in the comment section. But in the meantime, oh man, let's get into this. If you guys are new to the channel, my name's Kirk. I talk about motorcycle news. I also have a couple bikes myself. I do not have a Harley. It's never out of the equation, but they are very expensive. Mr. Zeitz, I'll just say that, Chairman, President, and CEO of Harley Davidson in 2024, we saw our performance being significantly impacted by continued cyclical headwinds for discretionary products, including a high interest rate environment affecting our consumer confidence. The launch of our new Street Glide and Road Glide touring motorcycles contributed nearly 5% growth in the U.S. touring segment and drove HD's market share to 74.5% in 2024. The decisions we made and the bold actions we have taken as part of the Hardwire strategy are continuing to strengthen our foundation for the future. The industry has faced many challenges over the past couple of years, impacting it at all levels. We believe we are best positioned to take advantage of any uptake in consumption. Before we get into 2024, let's look at where they think they're going in 2025. The revenue is going to be flat to down 5%, 0 to minus 5%. Operating income margins or profit margins, 7 to 8%. It's okay. If you look at Honda's profit margins, they're at like 17%. HDFS operating income down 10 to 15%. That's Harley Davidson Financial Services. They're expecting the financial services to be operating income to be down 10 to 15%. The LiveWire division selling only 1,000 to 1,500 motorcycles, and an operating loss. Harley Davidson is losing tens of millions, almost $100 million on electric live wires. I don't know what to say about that. I feel like I'm seeing a mirror situation. If we look at the Charger from Stellantis or Dodge, the Dodge Charger EV, Dodge Charger has built its identity of customers around the V8 Hemi, like Freedom, American, and then you put battery pack and electric motors in there with no natural sounds or guttural V8 sounds. Like that's the same thing with a LiveWire. Like Harley Davidson has built its identity over beautiful sounding V twins, and you have this LiveWire electric motorcycle that has synthetic noises. I'm sure I haven't ridden one. I'm sure it's very expensive. Like, who's buying this? All right, they're losing tens of millions of dollars in LiveWire. Harley Davidson diluted earnings per share flat to down 5%, and capital investments, whatever that means, 225 to 250. It's not looking good for 2025. Their peak forward. It's not looking good for a lot of automakers as well. I mentioned Stellantis in 2025. They're not the only ones, all right? Fourth quarter full year 2024 results. The revenue was down 35%. Guys, let's just get the old calculadora out. All right, so $1 billion, I think that's what this is. You have, what is it, $1 billion here? Minus $688 million. So they're down $365 million. Not looking good. All right. That was just the fourth quarter, if I'm reading this properly. Their full year was not good either, down about $650 million, minus 11% for the full year. But things are going sour fast, minus 35% in the fourth quarter alone. All right. They don't have any meaningful not meaningful here. I feel like this is all meaningful. To have a greater operating income loss in the fourth quarter. All right, look at the full year though. Full year was minus 47% versus the year before. This is not looking good. This looks really worrisome because the fourth quarter tanked so hard. All right, let's look at Harley Davidson company results. They shipped about 30,000 units in 2023 in the fourth quarter. they've dropped by more than half, minus 53% drop in sales. That is crazy. They're down 17% on the year, but 2025, how's this, like, what's the rebound going to be if there's going to be one off of this terrible fourth quarter? Revenue in the fourth quarter was down 47%, so down about $362 million. Overall, the revenue year over year, full year results down 15%, but this is just a catastrophic plunge here. Motorcycles are doing the worst. And the bad thing about Harley Davidson is that is their traditional bread and butter. This is their cash cow, selling motorcycles, right? Of course, you have parts, you have other things as well, licensing. It's a very small moneymaker for them. And it's getting smaller, it's halved. But their motorcycle revenue went down 60% in the fourth quarter. $352 million down in the fourth quarter alone. Oh my gosh, it looks like they were fine. They would have been pretty much neutral or close to neutral after the third quarter, but after the fourth quarter, it soured a lot. In the fourth quarter, global motorcycle shipments at HDMC decreased 53% from a year ago due to focus on dealer channel destocking. What is destocking? Reducing volume so motorcycles aren't sitting on the showroom collecting dust. In the automotive world, they call that lot rot because it costs money to keep these motorcycles in stock. And then the longer they're in stock, the more money you're going to lose on them. All right. So you're seeing Nissan reduce production and reduce volume at dealerships. You're seeing it with Stellantis as well. So it's hitting Harley Davidson too. HDMC revenue was down 47% due to lower volumes and unfavorable mix. What does this mean? I mean, if I'm looking at unfavorable mixes right now, is it the cheapest motorcycle starts at $17,000 for Harley? Okay, you have the Nightster, which are beautiful looking motorcycles. Harley makes cool looking bikes. $10,000 looks like the entry point of the Harley motorcycle segment. $10,000 can get you a lot of motorcycle for a lot of other brands too, but most of their brands start $5,000. So their starting price is double. Their average transaction price, though, is probably around $25,000, depending on how much you want to spend. $45K for a road glide. That is incredible how expensive these motorcycles are. Is that Harley's biggest problem? Is that everything's getting so expensive now, groceries, rent, insurance, etc. The cost of living is maybe snuffing Harley's most profitable models on the top end. So I'm curious here. I just want to, I know very little about cruisers here, but I want to look. I know Suzuki, Yamaha, even Honda has some cruisers. Kawasaki has cruisers as well. I'm just going to look at Suzuki real quick. All right, you have these V twins from the Japanese that are comparable, probably more reliable. But you can get on a Suzuki Boulevard. I know the Honda has a Shadow for around this price. These are cool looking bikes. I'm sure they're very competitive. They just don't have, that Harley Davidson clout to them. But this Boulevard, like this tops off at $15,000 and 109 cubic inches here. What else? What is Harley's competitive here? 109 cubic inches. What is that? Over 1,700 cc's. So this thing costs about $16,000. Let's just say it's $16,000. What? A Street Bob? What kind of cc's does a Street Bob have, or cubic inches? All right. This is competitive in terms of pricing here. Okay, so we have 117 cubic inches. I feel like that's pretty competitive. Oh, geez. Okay. Well, look, it's priced so the Suzuki has a similar engine size, but the Suzuki makes a shit ton more power. 94 horsepower on the Street Bob and 119 pound-feet of torque versus the same amount of torque, but look at all this extra horsepower you get on that Suzuki that costs actually less money than that Harley. All right. So anyways, maybe you get more power, more performance on Japanese bikes. And I want to say reliability as well. I haven't owned a Japanese cruiser. I have owned, and I do own some Japanese bikes, but I think most people buy Japanese bikes for reliability, low cost of ownership, and Harleys for the clout. All right. And I'm sure this sounds great as well. I'm not going to bore you guys anymore with the bad financial results or sales results. We're going to get into the comments here because I want to dive into this and see if you guys share the same sentiment. Chase says, shouldn't be unexpected when the brand spent decades failing to innovate or attract younger generations of riders. I'm a younger rider, I would say, compared to most Harley riders. I feel like there's an appeal to it, especially like if you're an American, you feel like Harley Davidson is that red, white, and blue. There's a bit of like patriotism there. But I'm not, I mean, I don't own one, and it's not high on my list to own a very expensive Harley Davidson. All right. Now they're mostly seen as ridiculously expensive, heavy, slow, old. Let me know if you guys agree with that. Luxury items are usually the first casualties during the economic turmoil. And we're seeing that in the housing market too. Things are changing fast there. And that's what Harley decided its brand would be. All right. They're a luxury motorcycle, I guess you say at this point. But they're starting to turn it around. But Harley is a very big ship with a small rudder. This person's sticking with Japanese bikes. Your Amazon order says Harley HD owners at those went from ride to live, live to ride, to keeping their clean, polished motorcycles in garages, undercovers, and hauling them on trailers behind $100,000 pickup trucks to riding meetups. Interesting. Let's keep reading. Buell, right? Motorcycle. Buell is Is Buell still owned by Harley Davidson? I think Buells are still made. I don't know if they're even available in America. I don't know much about Buell. Good job. In 1998, I bought a Buell in Australia. Buell was royally screwed over by Harley Davidson. No support with any number of recalls, incompetent service staff, bubbly tank decals, which are not under warranty outside of USA, and inability to get parts. Wow, I might short sell some stock to recover some of what they owe. Happy to hear it. I hope they go bust. I don't want Harley to go bust. I think Harley should have some basic classic style motorcycles. Something that I'm really into right now. I'm kind of getting off tilt here, but I think Royal Enfield has beautiful motorcycles. I know Harley Davidson could make some affordable, beautiful motorcycles with a V-twin. That's something that most of the competition is not doing. Benda by Chinese, and Benda means something bad in other English-speaking countries. But there's also a Chinese Benda, which uses small V-twins, which is very interesting. I'm sure they sound great, but if you look at Royal Enfield, these motorcycles are beautiful. You get them single cylinders or parallel twins with a 270 crank. That sounds very similar to a V-twin. And look how affordable they are. All right, if I look at, this looks like kind of like a Harley here. The Super Meteor 650. This thing is cheap, $7,000. And it looks amazing. All right, you don't need to spend $10,000 to $20,000+ on a Harley to get an amazing looking cruiser bike, right? This motorcycle right here, this is the CB350 Classic from Honda, air cooled, beautiful. Who needs gobs and gobs of torque and horsepower if you're just running to the next bar, which I don't recommend drinking and riding, or if you're just riding to just have a fun meetup or just have a Sunday cruise? Like 20 horsepower is great for the streets. This thing costs like $4,000 in other markets, and look how beautiful it is. All right. You don't need to spend tons of money to get a beautiful classic looking motorcycle. But let's get back to the comments here. As old riders pass away, Harley Davidson is doomed to pass away too. They're not switching to electrics as they should. I don't necessarily agree with that. Being innovative in that switch, future is all electric. I don't necessarily agree with that either, even though Honda thinks full electric is coming by 2040. Like, people ride to have a connection with a machine. And when you go electric, the connection and the feelings that it gives you isn't there. All right. And fast charging on a motorcycle and range anxiety is not something I want to worry about. I know range is not great on most motorcycles, like 150, 200 miles, but you can fill up in 2 minutes at a gas station, which are everywhere. All right. So whatever, Vince. Michael 77, Harley will survive. The company's oldest motorcycle company in the world. I guess they are, right? They've been through the Great Depression, which many people thought they wouldn't survive. Then the merger with AMF, which was in the great financials of 07 with Trump in office, they'll push through. We'll see about that. Daishi, there was a lot of press at the end of the year about Harley dealerships closing and struggling too. At 17% year-over-year decline, I'm sure it contributed to some of them making that decision. Just look at the data. It says it's not hard to see what went wrong or what is wrong. Look at Sturgis. Harley's base is actively abandoning them. Their CEO Zeitz went woke and their core customers revolted. Sounds like that Charger EV I was talking about. Even their used bikes lost value. Instead of listening to one of the largest dealers, the CEO refused to meet with him. This is a repeat of the Bud Light disaster, only worse. The board needs to replace management or be remembered for the downfall of an iconic brand. Remember, their CEO, if we go back to here, he mentions that the decisions we have made and the bold actions we have taken as part of our Hardwire strategy is Hardwire, their live wire electric motorcycle strategy, continuing to strengthen their foundation for the future while they're losing or looking to lose. What did they lose? $70 to $80 million on their electric future? Doesn't sound like much of a future for me. Now, you might be saying, Kirk, you got to invest in the future. I understand that. But is that the future Harley Davidson needs? Maybe for Europe, if Europe goes full on banning combustion motorcycles. It's never going to happen in the United States. I don't expect. All right. There will be huge revolts if people can't buy combustion motorcycles, combustion automobiles. I think we would be in for some crazy times. All right. Let the customer decide what they want to buy. Anyways, I think I could keep reading this, but I think we're getting it. I mean, there's a lot of comments here. Is this the end of Harley Davidson? Have they not innovated enough? Have they not captured enough young audiences? Are their bikes not affordable enough on the low end? And then they don't have a clear upgrade path. But I'm going to shut it down there. It's very interesting what's going on with them. The fast plummeting of their sales and their revenue. It's very worrisome. And 2025, it's looking not so hot. But I'll see you guys. Thank you for watching. This is my first video on the channel on Harley Davidson. I just started this channel a couple months ago, and it's a hobby for now. Who knows what it'll turn into? But I appreciate you guys' support. If you enjoyed this content, hit the like button and hit the like button for Harley Davidson. Hopefully, this financial problem that they're dealing with is very short lived. Catching the next one in peace. Ride safe.